Everybody, and welcome to DC Fine Art. I'm Deborah, and today we are working with charcoal. Yay! All right, so in this sorry, already making noises. Sorry for your ears. Today we're going to be working with this charcoal piece. I went ahead and drew out the tiger that I'll be doing, and I kind of did this really dark at first with the graphite, so that way you can kind of see how I put my drawing down, or at least my sketch. I do it to where I outline them kind of like, you know, the shape of the lion, and then I do some of the stripes just kind of sort of where they go. It's not exactly, but it's close. I mean, it's not perfect. I really just kind of put those in bold, and later you'll see me, you definitely want to erase those lines or try and take some of that graphite. If you're using just a graphite to sketch it out, you want to erase that. So later you'll see me go back and it'll actually get a lot fainter, is because I went back and started erasing those lines, so that way my charcoal can actually stick to the paper. The paper that I'm using is the Canson Me Tints pastel paper. Now with this paper, when using charcoal, you're going to get all those bumps and grooves. That is just the thing. The charcoal will not completely fill in all those little bumps. So you are going to have that. Now I kind of speed things up. I was using some Derwent tinted charcoal in here too, like adding in some of the purple and to kind of making it some color, just kind of experimenting with them. And also, if you're wanting to sell your artwork, you're going to have to look at the Derwent website to check out the Lightfast ratings on them, because the Derwent tinted charcoal, not all of them are Lightfast. So definitely check out Derwent's site and check out their Lightfast ratings, because anything, if you're selling it, you want it 6 and higher on the Blue Whale scale, and there is a few that are 4 and 5s on the scale, so those you wouldn't want to use in your artwork if you were selling. So here I'm taking one of the soft brushes, or actually they're like the soft tools and not brushes, and they're kind of like makeup applicators, except they're a little bit more spongier, and they're really super nice. I use those with my pastels, but whenever you're blending in for the first time with the charcoal, if you use them, it kind of takes it away more than it does like making it darker and spreading it out. So I only use those at the very beginning, just so that way I'm kind of pushing it down into the little grooves that's there. Now I do not cover them up completely, because it's still going to look bumpy, but it does push the pastel, or not pastel, but the chalk or the charcoal into some of the little grooves to cover it. And now I'm going back through, and I'm still using some of these Derwent tinted charcoals just to kind of see how they would play out. And to be honest, if you're not going with something like the purple, you couldn't really see. I mean, you can see it, but it's really light, and that's not what the effect I was wanting to go for. I wanted it to be dark in the background. Now here you see I switched over to a blending stump. Those are super nice. I love working with the blending stumps on this type of paper. It really keeps the color more than it would if you were to use a soft tool. Soft tool likes to take the pigment off. These blending stumps actually keep the pigment on the paper, and you can blend it also with that. So I absolutely love working with those blending stumps. I keep them around everywhere. And then after that, I also added some of this like tan or yellowish kind of color of a charcoal, and that was really nice. I loved how I could blend it out and make it look like it had some sort of color in it. I did like that. So that was part of the Derwent tinted charcoal. But then after that, I stuck with using my dark, or my hard, medium, and soft on the charcoals. And if you're not used to working with charcoals, whenever it says soft, medium, and hard, the soft one is going to be the darkest one. The medium is going to be a little bit more harder of a charcoal piece than the soft one, so therefore it's going to be a little bit lighter than the soft. And then the one that says hard is going to be a harder charcoal, which is going to be even a little bit more lighter. So it'll be your lightest charcoal. And I know they make those in like 2B, 4B, 6B. It's the same kind of concept. The higher the number in the B section, it means the softer it is. So it's going to be a little bit darker, the higher the number with a B. And then if it's, I don't think they have an H or anything, but that's usually how they go in numbers. It's still a soft, medium, hard texture is what they have to it for the tones. So here I went through making it darker, just kind of layered and layered, trying to bring more of that dark color to it. Now, my favorite is this pencil right here. It is actually out of the Create-A-Color kit. It looks like a brown type of colored pencil, or not colored pencil, but a charcoal pencil, but it's like dark or brown on the outside for the color, and it has a black tip on it, and it says black, and it says chalk 2, and it has a number 2. I don't know if there's a number 1 or not, but it's the Create-A-Color black chalk pencil. That is like the blackest charcoal pencil that I've had used. So I absolutely love it. I went over and used it on the background, and then used it on his eye, and then a lot of his stripes. So I definitely love, 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 love that pencil, that charcoal pencil. And another thing too, and I know you guys see me use this white, it is a woodless white charcoal pencil, and it's also by Create-A-Color. So a lot of the charcoals that I've used on this has either been the Derwent or the Create-A-Color is what I've been using so far on this. There is other charcoal pencils out there. Basically, I mean, charcoal is charcoal, so you can kind of just use whichever one you like best. So I don't really have a preference, but so far I've really liked the Create-A-Color on the charcoal. Now, if you're wanting a type of paper that isn't rough or doesn't have that rough texture to it, I would suggest one of my other videos I have posted on here has been the lion charcoal piece that I worked on. And that one was on the Clairefonte pastel matte paper. And I absolutely loved working with charcoal on that because the paper actually took a lot of layers of charcoal. And I was able to get a much, much smoother look. It didn't have that grainy textured look like the pastel Clairefonte, or not the pastel Clairefonte, but the Canson Tints pastel paper. It didn't have as many of the grooves. It was just super smooth looking. So if you're wanting to go for that where it's super, super smooth, you can layer upon layer on the paper. I would suggest using the Clairefonte pastel matte for your charcoal pieces if you're wanting to get that type of look. And both of them, you can still get stunning works. They still look really, really cute. And it's just all in your preference. If those grooves and bumps are kind of bothering you and you wanting it smoother, then go with I would definitely suggest the Clairefonte pastel matte. It works great with charcoal also. Yeah, and if you're working with like something that you drew out in graphite, just remember, and I've said this before, just remember that whenever you're starting to put your charcoal down, charcoal does not like to stick to graphite. Graphite is like a slick. Just think of it as being slick. And if you're trying to put something that's chalky over something slick, it doesn't stick to it. It just rolls right over it. So you definitely want to use an eraser to try and get the graphite off of your drawing or your piece that you're doing. And you want to get that first little layer off of the graphite. That way your charcoal can actually stick on top. And that's the reason why you want to try and erase your pencil marks if you have any graphite marks on there. Otherwise, your charcoal will not stick to it. You'll just see the pencil come straight through. Now, working with such a smaller piece, and I do believe this piece here was like a 7 by 10, so it was like super small. It was one of my smaller pieces that I've done. And with working with something so small, it's really hard to get in as much detail as you would if you were working on something that was much bigger in size. So just keep in mind, if you're trying to fit in all this little tiny detail into something that's really super small, it's definitely difficult. You're going to struggle trying to get those little bitty things in there. So just kind of work a little loosely whenever you're working with something so small. Now, if you make it a little bit bigger, it will make it easier to add in more detail. That way you're getting more of the bigger lines and strokes. The eyes I really like to focus on. I like to add as much detail as I possibly can to the eyes. That way you get that feeling and emotion from your piece. But it ain't, as I still have to say, even though there is detail in the eyes, it's not as much detail as I would have in a bigger piece. So you just got to learn to kind of make an exception and just kind of like back away. Once you start getting that detail where it looks like it's, more realism to it, then just kind of back away a little bit. Otherwise, it's really hard. You'll struggle trying to get in this little tiny detail into something that is so small. And if you're looking at stuff that is small, you're not going to get as much detail in a picture anyway. It's kind of blurred out, or, if it looks like that. But unless you're dealing with something that's like hypo-realism or something, then you're looking at it up close, but yet it's bigger. But yeah, on this piece here, since it was a smaller piece, I didn't put in as much detail as I would on something that's bigger. I hope that helps. I may have gotten that one a little confusing, I'm not for sure. And by the way, if you are new here, click the like and subscribe if you want to see more. I do all different types of pieces. I do oil pastels, soft pastels, charcoal, color pencil, inks. I've played around with those. I do some reviews here and there. And yeah, so if you're new, I would definitely appreciate it if you smash the like or even subscribe so we can I usually like to post these videos usually once a week on like Wednesdays or Thursdays. I am moving into a new studio, so that may end up making my video maybe a day later too. I'm not for sure yet. I may actually be on time, but just to let you guys know, I'm moving into a new studio, so it'll be a challenge moving everything into it, but hopefully the videos will look a lot nicer too. So yeah, moving along, pros and all kinds of different things happening. I think I've been working on a pros and cons thing. I think I got that stuck in my head. Oh boy. And to all the people that follow me, thank you so much for being here. I appreciate each and every one of you that come back. And also wanted to note, if you guys have any comments whatsoever or anything that you'd like to see me do or ask questions about, please leave a comment below. I check those all the time, and I'd love to hear what you guys have to say, because everything that you guys say does help out my videos and make them that much better. So love to hear from you guys. Now here you can kind of see some of these times I like to speed it up because I work so slow. But here's a slower version, just like how I usually work. And yeah, I take my time on things. So a lot of my videos have been sped up. And the reason is because of just how slow I like to work. I think I would probably drive everybody insane if I just worked that slow, like throughout a whole entire video. But here I'm just kind of blending in his nose, making those little lines where I see in the reference photo a little bit darker. And then I take my little blending stumps to kind of smooth them out and make them, I guess, not so harsh, because in some places you want it to be a lot softer tone, and then other places you can make it look more harsh. But yeah, I wanted to soften him out. So using that blending step definitely helps. And see how I added, that was my darkest, that chalk pencil that I was telling you about from Create-A-Color. It can be found in some of their kits. And also I looked online and you can actually buy the chalk for Create-A-Color black chalk charcoal pencil. You can buy those individually open stock online. So I looked on Amazon and you can actually purchase them, and I think they're kind of pricey for what I thought, but they work amazing. But they're like $6 is what I seen, or in the US. And then the 3-pack, I think it costs more than that, but of course, but yeah, you can buy those open stock. Or you can end up buying one of their little kits to try out charcoal. And some of them, I'm not for sure all of them, but some of them do have the black chalk in it. So that makes it really nice. But I love that pencil. That is like one of my favorites. Now here, you guys see me add some of the dark black charcoal on the top of his mane, right in that area. I guess his mane or his fur. He is a tiger. I was doing that because it had kind of didn't have that backing on it to where it really stood out. So I went ahead and added more of my darker charcoal back into it on the top, and then started stringing out some of the strands over the top of it. Now that makes the white fur, the little white strands of hair, stand out more. So I wanted to have more definition in there, so I went ahead and put that back in. So charcoal is very easy to work with. It's very forgiving, and you can kind of go back and forth on that. If you don't like that something is not standing out that much, you can add a little bit more dark to it and then go over the top with your lighter color, like your little strands of hair, to be able to make those strands stand out a lot more. So that makes it really super nice. And here I'm just kind of brightening everything up by going back over it, maybe adding some little bit darker patches in there, making some little strands stick out. So this is just the little detail stuff is what I'm working with right now. And then if you're not wanting some of these lines, like with the fur, I was also working with some of those to where it looked really stringy. And if you just go over it with your blending stump a couple times, just swooping over it, you can kind of soften it out. And there we go. And this is my finished piece. I hope you guys enjoyed this. Like I said, hit the like and subscribe, and I hope to see you next time. Bye.